prepared for what we're about to get into right now. I'm about to give you some value as I do every day. Instagram, what's going on? Facebook, what's going on? We are getting started in just a moment. I'm gonna make sure I got the topic here so everybody knows what we're talking about. And we got that pinned. Let's see if we can get some light going properly here on Facebook. There we go. Now we got the light. That's just the way it's gonna look over there on Facebook. Looks like I'm in front of a white screen. I'm not, but it's all good. That's what it is. Just in case anybody asks. But as y'all check in, tell me your name and location in the comment section. If you're on Facebook, definitely hit that share button. You can leave a comment as well. You can hit the like button too, but hit the share button on Facebook. If you only hit one button on IG, leave a comment. Tell me your name and location. We're gonna get started in. We're gonna give it maybe 2 minutes. We're gonna see how many people check in the first 2 minutes. Then we're going to get started no matter who's here. I don't care what the size of the audience is. I'm delivering either way. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday, April the 24th. We're almost at the end of the first, the fourth month of the year. So the first trimester of 2020 is almost over. I know it probably has ended in a way that none of us expected. I don't think any of us expected things to turn the way that they have turned in this trimester here in 2020. But we still got to do what we got to do. We still got an opportunity every day to do what we want to do. We still got the opportunity to be who we want to be. And today, I'm going to give you some material in this live that we about to do right now. I'm going to give you some material that's going to help you be who you want to be who you can be the best that you can be in your life through doing what you want to do so you can have the results that you want to have. You're interested in that conversation and you're in the right place at the right time, because we're going to get into it in less than 60 seconds. So if anybody's coming in, tell me your name and location in the comment section. Coffee the Great, I think you got the first comment here today. You got it. First comment. Shout out to you. As y'all come in, tell me your name and location in the comment section. We're getting started in less than 60 seconds. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to tell you about these books that I got in front of me. Later on, we're going to get into the topic. I guarantee you this topic is going to make you better in the long run if you follow what I'm saying. You pay attention to what I'm saying, first of all. Follow what I'm saying, second of all. After I get done talking, then you actually implement it. Meaning that takes the things, that means take the things that I'm talking about and you actually go use them in your life. All right, don't just listen to this and be tapping the screen and get the likes and leave comments and say that it's good and then don't do anything with it. Don't do that. All right, that's what most people do with any kind of information that they take in. So that's Matt from New Mexico. All right, you got the shout out for the first comment, Matt. Make sure you're implementing the stuff that I'm talking about here. Don't just let it go in one ear and out the other, or don't treat this as an entertainment. All right, this is not a comedy show or a comic book or just some random. This ain't Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is something that's actually going to make you better. I'm not just taking up your time just to be taking up your time. I'm giving you something that's going to make you better in the long run. We call it an investment. So we're getting started in 10 seconds. I'm going to introduce myself right now. We're going right into it. And whoever's here is here. Whoever ain't, because y'all know what the saying is. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. And to be late, you might as well not even be here. That's to be forgotten. So my name, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Former 9-year professional basketball player, author of 25 books, creator, publisher of over 7,000 YouTube videos, 7,000 articles. What else? 1,500 podcast episodes that I call master classes, because that's the level of value that I give on my audio show. I can't speak for anybody else's show, but on my show, I give it a level of value that makes it a master class. It is not just some random conversation podcast where people just dicking around, just talking about random stuff for 45 minutes. That's not what my show is about, as y'all see here all the time. I've done over 1,000 of these live streams on every live platform that exists. YouTube Live, Instagram, Facebook. When they had Periscope is still out. When they had Blab, I was doing that. And whatever other platform let you go live, I did that. So I've done the lives on every platform. I've done over 1,000 of these. I created this whole framework called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking a pro athlete mindset and teaching how you apply that mindset in your business, in your sport, and your life. All right, and I wrote a book about it. That's this book right here called Work on Your Game. But I'm just telling you about the philosophy. I'm just showing you a visual so you know what I'm talking about. Work on Your Game is the name of it. I've done 4 TED Talks. I'm a keynote speaker, coach, consultant, product creator. I've created over 200 products. And I've done a whole lot of other things. I'm not going to lay out my whole resume here because it ain't about me. The topic here today is having game versus knowing how to play. Those are not the same thing. As y'all are coming in, you can leave your name and location in the comment section. If I see it before I get deep into this topic, then I'll shout you out. If I don't, then I'll shout you out at the end. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns about anything that I say in this live today, You can leave it in the comment section. I address all the comments at the end. So don't think that I'm not going to stop in the middle of my message to address your comment, but I will address it at the end as long as you stick around to ask it. Now, the topic here today is having game versus knowing how to play. A lot of people think that because you have game, because you work on your game, that means that you know how to play. That is absolutely not true. Any of you who plays a sport, you might understand this. I hear from athletes all the time who say things like, Dre, I practice all the time. I watch YouTube and I saw all those basketball videos that you put out over the years, more than anybody else out there, even still to this day. And I haven't put out a basketball video in 5 years, by the way. But anyway, they say I watch all the basketball videos that you put out and all the drills, and I did all the dribbling drills, and I practice all the moves, and I work on my game all the time, Dre, and I feel like I'm a pretty good player when I'm in there practicing. Adrian from Germany, what up? And then they say, well, I get in the game, and I don't do any of the stuff. I don't do any of those moves in the game. I'm not playing in the game the way that I thought I would play based on the way that I was practicing. Why is that happening? Or maybe some of you young men, I know I used to have this challenge when I was a kid, like a teenager. I would be thinking about, all right, I want to talk to this girl in school, and it looks like she's interested in me, and I'm interested in her, but I don't know what to say. So this is what I would do. I would go home and I would start writing down what's some of the things I could say to this girl. What's some openers that I could use? I know the openers, the pickup line, not even a pickup line, but just some way that I could hold a conversation with this girl. So I'll be writing it all down and I memorize the line, what I'm going to say, this and that. And then I see the girl and then I wouldn't say none of the lines. Or I might say it, but I didn't say it smoothly enough and didn't sound confident enough, and it didn't quite work. So even though I thought I had game, at least according to my little plan, I wasn't actually playing the game the way that I wanted to play the game. I was not producing the results that I wanted to produce. And the point is this: a lot of people think, again, that just because you have certain skills or you studied certain information or you done a certain amount of practice or you read a book or you took a course or you studied under somebody's tutelage, that means that you're automatically going to be able to perform and produce a result. Because we always got to remember, in this game, we're in a performance and results-based business. You got to get out there and perform, and you got to produce a result. If you fail at either one, then you're not going to be in the game for too long. Somebody's going to take your spot because, listen, there's a lot of people out here who want your spot, especially when you start creating success. So what we're going to talk about here today is the difference between the two and what you actually need to be doing with your game. I want you to understand that I'm not saying here today that having game does not matter. Or you need to have game. Don't show up anywhere with no game. Or you show up with no game, or you're going to be showing out, and not showing out in a good way, but showing the door. All right, here's your way to get out. The exit, when you're in the building, they got those red exit signs above all the doorways. Are they going to be pointing you in that direction if you show up with no game? So make sure you have game, but you got to understand that having game is not the end of your work. Having game is the beginning of your work, because now you'll finally get an opportunity. Now you got to do the work to actually know how to play. Prove that you know how to play, because you got to prove it in this business. Derek from Georgia, what's up? And whatever business you're in, it's the business, sports business, relationship business, speaking business, live streaming business, writing books business, whatever business you're in, you got to prove it and you got to produce a result. All of those things matter. It's not one over any of the others. They all matter. You need the whole package. Everybody got that? Point number one. The topic again is having game versus knowing how to play. They are not the same thing. Number one, having skills, you know what that does for you? It gets you an opportunity. If you have no skills, you have not proven your skill. You have not worked on your game. You have not proven in any way, in any capacity, that you can actually perform a task. If you have not proven it, you will never get an opportunity. Now, I want to make sure y'all understand, y'all notice the words and the way that the actual words that I'm using here. The way that I'm putting my words together matters a lot. So pay very close attention. And sometimes I say things and people be like, oh, so basically, Dre, you're saying this, and then they paraphrase it and change what I said. No, do not do that. Listen to exactly what I said. Having skill gets you an opportunity. All right, that's what I said. Which means you must have some skill. Of course, you got to work on your game, but you also got to prove that you have skill. Once you have proven that you possess some ability to do something, then you are eligible for an opportunity. Eligible for an opportunity. You are not owed one. You are not a guaranteed one. You are not promised one. You do not have the right to an opportunity. You are just eligible for an opportunity because you have skill. Listen, there's a lot of basketball players out here who have game. Maybe they're good enough to play in the pros. Maybe. They got skills to play in the pros. Maybe. but they haven't proven it to anybody yet, or they haven't proven it to the people who matter yet. So just because they have that skill doesn't really matter in terms of their pro career? No. Until they go prove it somewhere, it doesn't matter that they have the skill. So having skill alone is a good thing. But if you want to get a result, you want to get some ROI from that skill, you got to prove it. You got to go somewhere and you prove that skill. So having a skill will get you an opportunity, maybe. It makes you eligible to get an opportunity. Once you're eligible for the opportunity, now you got to go out there and show that you can do something with it. Having game maximizes the opportunity. So for example, when I was playing ball, I told y'all my story. Y'all saw the post I did on IG probably about a week ago when I was telling the shortened version, very short version of my basketball story, the Instagram version, that I wasn't even on a team my last year and a half playing college ball. So I knew I had game. I knew I had skill. My ex-teammates, who many of them are still my friends to this day, they knew I had game. They knew what I could do. They knew I deserved to be on the basketball team, but I wasn't on the team, and I wasn't proving it, and I had no proof. I didn't have no game video. I didn't have any scouts watching me. I didn't have any agents looking for me. I didn't have anything in my environment that was going to create an opportunity for me, even though I had game. The only time when things started to turn for me was when I went to this event called an exposure camp, which is like a job fair for ball players. I went to the exposure camp, did my thing at the camp, and because I did my thing at the camp, now I had proven that I had game. I had proven that my game could produce a result. I had proven that I could perform, and because I proved that I could perform, now I got this good scouting report with these certified scouts saying positive things about me at the pro level. Now I took that scouting report and I took that footage and I started reaching out to agents. And I said, hey, Mr. Agent, hey, Mrs. Agent, here's my name, here's where I'm from, here's what I can do. But it wasn't just me talking like, oh, I could do this and that. Like every day somebody's talking about what they can do and what they going to do and what skills they got. No, nobody want to hear that. No, nobody want to hear what you can do if you ain't got no proof. I had proof. I started reaching out to agents because I had proof of what I could do. And I said, hey, Mr. Agent, look, here's the scouting report. I didn't write it. They wrote it. Here it is on their website. Here's the video. And you can't lie about video. Here's the video. And they looked at it, and the agent said, all right, I'll represent you, son. He represented me. Got a deal. But I had to prove it first. I had game 3 years ago. 3 years before I got a deal, I had game. All right, I was getting better, but I had game 3 years before that. Nobody recognized it. I ain't have a job opportunity 3 years before that. 2 years before I had game. But I was sitting on the sideline watching my teammates, my old teammates, playing games while I wasn't on the team. The year before that, I had game. I was working at Foot Locker, selling sneakers and getting a little, what was the commission at Foot Locker? 3% commission on every sale. Working at Foot Locker. That's what I was doing with the referee uniform and everything every day. That's what I was doing. I had game. Nobody knew who the hell I was. Nobody knew me. I had no proof. I had not produced any results. I had game the whole time. But when I started proving that I knew how to play and that I could do something with that game, that's when everything opened up. So I want all y'all out there to understand that even though I talk about this right here, work on your game, yeah, this is the starting point. Working on your game is not the end. Working on your game is the beginning. All right, working on your game is the beginning of everything working. After you work on your game, all right, now you got skill. Now you can go start knocking on some doors. And my girl thought that was somebody at the door. Now you can start knocking on the door, and now you get some people's attention. Now you got their attention. Now you got to prove what you can do. You got to prove that you know how to play. There's a lot of people out here who have game, but they don't know what to do with their game. They just out there running around like a chicken with their head cut off, don't know what the hell they're doing. There's a lot of people out there got enough knowledge in their heads to put together one of these, but they haven't done it because they haven't organized what they're doing. They don't know how to harness it and use it and put it into a finished product. That's where you got to go find an expert or somebody who knows what they're doing who can help you and tell you, all right, I see everything that you got going on here. Let's make some sense of this and put it into a package that's useful for somebody else. You don't have to give them everything, you just got to give them what they need. So I want y'all to understand, if we were to give you another parallel, like being funny is a skill, right? It's a skill to be funny. Y'all know anybody who's just funny? Every time they walk in the room, you can just tell by the look on their face they about to say something funny, or they're looking for something to point out and make a joke about and just be the class clown or the funny guy, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. But see, doing 10 minutes of stand-up comedy is not the same as being some funny dude in the back of the classroom in high school. All right, it's two different skills. Again, some of y'all might know some people who are funny. Put them in front of an audience on a mic at a stand-up comedy show. Tell them to do 10 minutes of stand-up. They can't even come up with one joke, even though they're the funniest person you know. How is that? What happened? What happened? Knowing how to play is being on that stand-up stage. That means you got to take all your funniness and you got to be able to package it up and organize it and structure it and have some type of framework for how you do it. So when you go watch those comedy shows with, who's a comedian? Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle or Louis C.K. and they're just standing up there telling jokes for an hour and you like, yeah, this person's so funny. Understand that is a skill. That's knowing how to play. It's a skill, but they applied it over and over again so that they knew how to play. They know what to do with it. I heard this story once about, there's a bunch of comedians, right? They were out in New York where there's a lot of comedy clubs. I think New York and LA is two places where there's a lot of comedy clubs. So it was like 5 or 6 comedians. They had all went to go do this show at like a comedy spot. You know, this is what they do. They just show up to random places where there's an open mic and they each do like 10 minutes of stand up just to get practice, just to try some jokes out, this and that. And they, like 5 or 6 of them had all did this and they all knew each other. They was cool. And they did a show. Each person went up there and they were done. They were all standing outside the comedy club and it was like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. And one of them was like, yo, why don't we go to this club, not a comedy club, but just go to this bar and get some drinks and party and dance and just have fun. Why don't we just go do that for the rest of the night? We all here, we all together. Let's just have a good time. And one of the comedians in the group was Dave Chappelle. And Dave Chappelle said, no, how about we not go to the bar and hang out and get drinks and dance and party? How about all of us go to another comedy club and each of us do another set? And then after that, let's go to another club and do another set. And then after that, let's go to another club and do another set after that. And all the comedians was kind of looking at Dave like, man, why you want to do more work? Why you want to do another set? We just did a set. I mean, we know we're all comedians, but come on, let's go and have some fun and loosen up and let our hair down a little bit for the rest of the night. Why don't we just go do that? And Dave Chappelle said, according to the story, he said, yo, like, we're not going to get those Showtime specials or those big checks from Netflix by going to the bar and having a drink. We're going to get those checks by going to the comedy club, working on our game, and working on our ability to perform on that stage. So that's the thing that's going to get us paid. So instead of going and celebrating as if we already got it, why don't we go keep working so we can get better at what we do? What Dave Chappelle was telling them, and I'm not a comedian, but I'm just drawing this parallel so y'all understand. I'm going to give y'all examples as in and outside of the sports world, is that you got to, learning how to play means taking the skill that you already got. All those guys were known comedians. I mean, they're hanging out with Dave Chappelle. He hangs with comedians. He's pretty known, right? But he was saying, look, I got more success than all y'all. He didn't say that, but it was implied, I think, in his point. Yo, I got more success than all y'all. I was getting a $50 million offer back before Netflix was Netflix. And I'm the one talking about let's go do some extra work. Like, so let's go do the extra work so we can work on our ability to perform, to produce a result so that we can harness this skill and make it into something new. You understand? Being able to run and jump and dribble and shoot, those are skills, right? And you need to be able to do all those to play basketball. But if you don't know how to take all that running, jumping, dribbling, and shooting and make it fit into a team concept in a 5-on-5 game, can you play on a basketball team? Probably not. Not on a team that matters. Maybe you could go play at the LA Fitness or the Equinox around the corner or the playground down the street. But do you want to play on a team where there's a coach and y'all got practice every day and you might get paid for it? Or you want to do that, you got to learn how to take all those skills and make it into something that matters, something that makes sense, know how to use it and how not to use it. Point number 2, the topic for those of y'all came in the middle of this, having skills and having game and knowing how to play are 2 different things. Point number 2, knowing how to play, ladies and gentlemen. That means knowing which skills to use and which skills to not use at what times, when, where, why, and how to use them or to not use them. I talked about this a few days ago when I was explaining to y'all the difference between knowledge and wisdom. See, knowledge is having a lot of information in your head. Wisdom is knowing when to use which information. Because if you really think about it, how much information do you actually know? You probably know a ton of information. You know enough information you could write 30 encyclopedias. But you can't use every piece of information that you have every single time you need to make a decision in life. You would never make a decision because you would have to run through all of that information to make a choice, right? So how do you know which information to use? That's wisdom. That's saying, all right, I know all this stuff. I don't put this aside and just use this little piece of information for this decision I'm making right here. And it's the same thing when it comes to your game. Knowing all the skills that you have doesn't mean you got to use them all the time. Now, if you're playing basketball and somebody passes you the ball at the 3-point line, what skill do you need? You need the skill to make a 3-point shot or the skill to dribble. You don't need your skill to dunk when you're at the 3-point line because you probably can't dunk from the 3-point line. I never seen anybody do it. If you can do it, then maybe you can add something new to the game. But the point is, you got to take the skills that you have and you got to understand. You got to get a fingertip feel, an instinctive feel for knowing when to use which information, when to apply it, when not to apply it, given the situation at hand. And usually this comes from experience. Yes, you can get a little bit of it from watching other people and studying, and in sports they say film study, or even in comedy, comedians watch their own sets to see what were people laughing at, or what was my body language like, how did I change my tone of voice and my volume when I said this joke, then maybe I can make it better next time. Studying what you've done, studying what other people have done, those things can all make you better at having the discernment to know what skills to use at which times. But a lot of it just comes from the experience of doing it more than once. You just got to keep doing it. You got to show up, and this is what I tell athletes. If you want to get better at playing in games, guess what you got to do? And this is not a hard question. It's not a trick question. You got to play in games. If you want to get better at playing in basketball games, you can't just practice by yourself all the time and then wonder why you're not playing good in the game, because you're not playing in games. What would you expect? What would you expect to do? If you want to get better at speaking on stages in front of live audiences, then yes, you want to practice your material in the mirror by yourself in the bathroom at your crib, but you also got to get out in front of an audience and get experience doing that. Because if you don't have experience doing it, why would you expect yourself to be able to do it when you get called on? When your opportunity comes, now you just expect that you're going to be able to do something that you've never done. You have no experience. You haven't been putting yourself out there. You ain't been 10 toes deep. You ain't been out in the field doing the work. Why would you expect to get a result from that? So knowing how to play means you got to put yourself in positions that you're going to need to be in order to produce those results and perform and get that return on investment that you want to get. Because the last time that I checked, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong about this, the last time that I checked, in any performance-based business, and there are a ton of performance-based businesses out there, you have to be able to perform when it matters to get that result. To get that result being to get paid, to get your check, to get those fans, to get those followers, to get that admiration, to get whatever the trophy, whatever it is you want that you consider a victory. You got to be able to perform when it matters, when the lights are on, not just when you're practicing by yourself. So it's all good to practice by yourself. You got to do it. Everybody does it. But you also got to know when to take advantage, when to go this way, when to go that way, when to fall back, when to speak up, when to shut up, when to move to the left, when to move to the right, when to do nothing and when to do something. You have to understand when, and you got to know it instinctively. Not, I got to think about it. Not, let me write it down, and then when the situation comes up, let me consult my notes. You ain't going to have time for all that. It's learning it instinctively, and you only develop that ability by putting yourself out there. As I say every single day on my master class that some of y'all call podcast, putting yourself out there boldly and authentically, even when you're not quite sure how it's going to go, you got to do that at first. And if you don't have the courage to do that, then how you expect to ever get off the porch and actually get out in the street where the big dogs are running, if you follow the metaphor. Point number 3, the topic here today is having game versus knowing how to play. They are not the same thing. They are two different things. Point number 3, when you know how to play the game, you can pick and choose how the action is going to go, and you can actually control the action around you when you really know how to play. Right now on ESPN, I'm sure damn everybody knows they got the Chicago Bulls / Michael Jordan documentary that's going to be running for, 5 weeks, 10 episodes. Second week is coming up tomorrow. And the thing is, that year, the thing that made that season so impressive with the Chicago Bulls was that Michael Jordan and all the key players on the Chicago Bulls, a lot of them were older guys. Michael Jordan was approaching his mid-30s. Scottie Pippen was a little bit older. Dennis Rodman was damn near done in basketball. They were the 3 best players on the team. Phil Jackson had been coaching all those years. The Bulls were a much older team. Their core players were a lot older at that point. And the question always is, you think of a sport like basketball. Basketball is all about running and jumping and athleticism and quickness and all these things. So why are the Bulls, these older guys, how are they beating all these younger teams? They have younger legs, more athletic players and all that. How were they able to do it? It's not like the Bulls were terrible athletically, but they weren't. There were some teams that had better athletes than the Bulls had at that point in their careers. How were they beating them? It's because Michael Jordan and those guys, they had it up here mentally. They had all that experience, and they knew how to play. Yes, of course they had game. Of course, we know Michael Jordan had game. Scottie Pippen had game. But they knew how to play. So they can take. The thing is, see, when you really know how to play, you can use your knowledge of the game and outthink someone who might have a higher level of skill than you. So just because you don't have the highest skill level of everybody in the room, babe, Just because you don't have the highest skill level of everybody in the room doesn't mean you can't beat your competition. It's just a matter of, hey, can I outthink my competition? Can I see what my competition is not seeing? Can I move before they're ready to move? Can I bait them into thinking because they have this physical advantage or they have this resource advantage that they can just outdo me? Can I bait them into thinking that that's going to be enough for them to win and then beat them at their own game? That's being able to think the game. But you can't learn how to think the game if, number one, you're not out there playing it, and you got to start somewhere at zero. And number two, you're not reviewing what you're doing so that you can actually learn what's working and what's not working. And number three, are you staying in the game long enough to get enough experience so that when the new people come in with their new resources and their new materials and their new processes and their new whatever it was, listen, can you take advantage of that opportunity? Can you do that? That only happens when you put the work in, when you put the time in, when you learn the game. You got to study the thing that you're doing. So whatever anyone out here is doing, anyone who's listening to me right now, whatever game you're in, you got to study the game. What are you doing with if you're selling things online? Are you looking at people's customer experience? Why are they buying? Why are they not buying? What emails are they getting? Why are you following up with them? Are you not following up? What are they responding to? Where are things working? Where are things not working? You got to study your own game. If you're an athlete, are you looking at film of your own games? Yeah, I know you watch Kobe videos and Michael Jordan and James Harden and LeBron, but are you watching your own games to find out what you're doing? Do you even know? Do you know your own game better than you know everybody else's game? Or do you know Kyrie Irving better than you even know yourself? And then you wonder why you're not getting the results that you want to get. You got to study your game, study the game, study your game, keep working on your game, and then the things that you learn about your game, you got to bring them out into that performance, and you got to implement. You got to put that to work consistently. This is what being a professional is about. I mean, that ain't the whole thing, but it's a big chunk of it. This is the work that you got to do. This is what Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson and those guys were doing, which is why when they got older, they could still keep winning. Not because they were necessarily the best athletes. They absolutely were not the best athletes by that point, 1998. But they were still able to win because they knew how to think the game. Because they were able to control the tempo of the game, even though they didn't have the best resources physically as everybody else out there. A great cook, for example, any of y'all who's really good at cooking, you could probably put together a fantastic meal if you're a really good cook. But a great chef, difference from a cook, the chef, they can run an entire kitchen, and they can put everybody in the kitchen in their right role or in their most necessary position so that everybody's doing their best job. That's the difference between being really good at having a skill and really good at understanding how to utilize that skill and put everybody else in place to utilize their skill. There was a story about when LeBron James came back to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2014 after he played for the Miami Heat. At the beginning of training camp, they were in practice, and LeBron stopped practice and said to the coach, hey, I need to take everybody in the locker room real quick so we can have a talk, because it seemed like they were kind of disjointed the way they were playing. And LeBron just went down the line around the whole locker room, according to the story, and he pointed out every single player on the team. He told each one of them what their role was going to be on that team. He's all right, Kevin Love, this is your role. Kyrie, this is your role. And Tristan Thompson, this is your role. Everybody who was on the team, Matthew Dellavedova, here's what you're going to do. Timothy Mozgov, here's what you're going to do. He told everybody on the team what their role was going to be. And the point of me telling you that, and the Cavs went on to go to the championship 4 years in a row. They only won one, but they went to the finals 4 years in a row. They were the best team in the East because of LeBron James. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because he knew the game so well. He also had the physical tools, but he knew the game so well that he was able to put everybody else in their best position to make that team work, to make it work for that team. It wasn't about him necessarily being a boss or making other people do what he wanted them to do. It was about what was the best thing to make that team work. And listen, he was the best player on the team, so he was probably the person best positioned to say that. Same way with this Michael Jordan doc, or Chicago Bulls doc / Michael Jordan doc, he could do the same thing with the Bulls. He was the best player. Everybody had to fit in around him because he was the best, and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it works in most organizations. If there's a clear number one person, everybody else's job is to make it as easy as possible on that person to do what they do best, because them doing their best helps everybody else do their best. That's just the way that it works in anything. That's just the hierarchy of how it is in life. And people just got to be willing and able to play their roles, whatever their roles happen to be. Now, with all that being said, let me recap these points here. The topic is having game versus knowing how to play. They are not the same thing. You got to understand the difference between the two. Just because you have game does not mean you know how to play. And I'm going to explain to you how that works and why it works for anything that you do in life right now. I'm going to recap these points. I'm going to tell you about these books in front of me. Then I'm going to take any questions we got in the comment section. Number one, having skills gets you opportunity. If you have no skills, you will not get opportunity in life. All right. If you have no skills, you will not get any opportunity in life. You must prove that you have skill. Have skill, then prove it. 2 steps. Work on your game, prove it. If you haven't done either, or you're missing one, that's why you haven't gotten the opportunities that you want. If you've done both, I guarantee you opportunity is finding you. Now, if you think you've done both, but opportunity is still not finding you, then I will contend that you probably have not done both as much as you think you have. So some people will come to me and be like, Dre, I work on my game and I proved it, but I'm still not getting the opportunities that I want. Well, I say to them, well, maybe you haven't worked on your game that much. And maybe what you think is proving it, you didn't really prove anything. You think you proved it, but who'd you prove it to? Proving it is one thing in your mind. The other thing is you got to prove it to somebody else. Did you prove it to somebody who matters, who actually has the power to help you get the opportunity you want? All right, that's the next step. I might talk about that in the future one of these streams, so make sure you stay tuned. So having game is good. Have game. Work on your game. But you got to prove it. That'll get you opportunity. Knowing how to play is how you produce the result. So you work on your game, get skills, get opportunity, perform, produce results. 4 steps. Work on your game. We'll say number 1, work on your game. Number 2, get opportunity. Number 3, perform. Number 4, produce results. You got to do all 4. You want to get paid, you got to do all 4. If you haven't gotten paid yet, you're missing one. Point number 2, knowing how to play equals knowing what skills to use, how to use them, when to use them, and when not to use them. Just because you have a skill doesn't mean you should use it all the time. Just because you can shoot. You ever play basketball with somebody who's a good shooter and they just shoot the ball every time they touch it? To the point that you're like, all right, this guy, maybe he shouldn't be on the team with us. Because even though he's a good shooter, but damn, don't shoot the ball every time. You got to know when to pass, right? They don't play deep. Somebody who's a good scorer, but they play no defense. Like, all right, you still got to play. Just because you played offense don't mean you don't play defense. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should be doing it every time. You got to know when to use the skill and when to put a skill to the side. All right, don't use every skill you have every single time just because you have it. You got to know when to use and when not to use it. If you own a gun, that doesn't mean you should walk around shooting people or pointing it at people. You get yourself in trouble. You get yourself killed doing that. You get yourself arrested as well. Just because you have it doesn't mean you should always be using it. You got to know when to use it, when not to use it. We call that wisdom. Point number 3, when you know how to play the game, you can pick and choose how and when to control the action around you. If you're not controlling the action around you, the action is controlling you. It's because you haven't learned the game yet enough mentally. Being able to do the game physically is a great thing, but when you're able to combine your physical abilities and your physical resources, your tools, with the mental understanding of how the game works, you can start manipulating the game and making the game work in your favor however you want. It's almost like you're controlling puppets. And this is what happens when a player gets into really mastering their game or mastering their sport or mastering their business or mastering their expertise, whatever it happens to be. If you're not able to do that yet, then you got to keep studying the mental side of the game as well as continuing to be able to do what you do on the physical side of your game or the resource, tangible side of your game. All that being said, I'm going to tell you about these books right now, and then I'm going to take any questions that we got in the comment section. So if you got a question, go ahead and post it in the comments. I'm going to tell you about these books real quick. These 2 books I'm about to present to you, both of these books have already been paid for. They're free. You ain't got to pay for the book. All you do to get either one of these books is you take care of the shipping, and I will ship these books to you worldwide. I'm going to tell you what they are, what they do, and why you want them, what they would do for your life, what they really mean for your life. So let me tell you about this one first. This is called The Mirror of Motivation. The subtitle is The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. Now, why would you want a book that's a self-guide to self-discipline? Maybe you don't even want self-discipline. Let me tell you why you want this book. I wrote this book so that you can start being the person who you truly know that you are. The person that you really are at your core. Not the person that you think other people want you to be or the person that you think you're supposed to be, but the person that you know you are, but for whatever reason, you haven't really been showing that side of you. You haven't really been tapping into that version of you, and some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. I wrote this book so you can start being that person, and when you start being that person, here's what's going to happen. You're going to start doing what you really want to do with your life. You're going to have a completely different energy to your actions, and what that really means is you're going to start getting the results that you actually want in your life. So any of you feel like you've been working hard, grinding, struggling, hustling, but you're not getting the results that you want, and you're wondering what the problem is, I'm going to tell you this book will solve that. Because you'll start being who you really need to be. And when you change that, everything else is going to change. The actions will change and the results will change. Your whole life is going to change. All you got to do to get this book is go tell me where to ship it by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. The book is already paid for. You take care of the shipping. Go to Mirror of Motivation. Just the title. Take out the. Mirrorofmotivation.com. Tell me where to ship the book. I'm shipping this to you worldwide. Anywhere you live, get it how you live, get it where you live by going to mirrormotivation.com. This book right here, it's called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. I wrote this book specifically for the basketball players out there. All right, this book is only for the basketball players. If you want to play professional basketball, I wrote this book. Let me tell you what this book is going to do for you. The subtitle: Start Your Professional Basketball Career Now. If you want to have a professional basketball career now, you need to read this book. I think this is the best subtitle there is because there's no ambiguity. You know exactly what this means, right? I came out of a Division III school where I walked on, no prospects, no agents, no coaches, no connections, no scouting, no nothing. Nobody knew who the hell I was. I was able to make a 9-year basketball career out of that. How? Because I know how to hustle. I know how to pay attention, and I retain information very well. So I took all of that, and I took out all the stuff that didn't work, because there was a lot of stuff that didn't work, a lot of stuff that messed up. I took all that out, and I put together a 237-page book that tells you everything you need to know and everything that you need to do and everything you should not do in order to get a professional basketball career. It's in this book. It's 237 pages long. You want to start your career, or you already got a career, you want to further your career, go to balloverseas.com. That link again, balloverseas.com. If you want to play overseas, you won't forget that URL. balloverseas.com. Get the Overseas Basketball Blueprint. The book's paid for. You take care of the shipping. We're shipping this book worldwide. We got another 50 books coming in from the printer probably in the next week, because we've been shipping out so many copies of this book. I also got a free download called 46 Things You Need to Know About Playing Ball Overseas. You can get that at balloverseas.com/46. You've probably seen that on Instagram already. So balloverseas.com, get the Overseas Basketball Blueprint, mirrormotivation.com. These books are paid for. You ain't got to pay for them. Just cover the shipping. Shipping them to you worldwide. Now let's see what we got going on in the comment section. Appreciate everybody who has been paying attention to what I've been talking about here. I hope you got value out of this. That's the aim. That's the goal, the mission. Every single time we come live here. Forrest Greeny, what's good in the comments section? Adrian Germany, I shouted you out earlier. Let's see here. I think I saw some questions maybe later on. BRHM Vibes, what's going on? Chase the Great says, nah, that was the garbage disposal. We ain't got no vacuum cleaner. It's a garbage disposal. Not necessarily fall in line, the life of Trice. It was just about everybody knowing their role. Fall in line is kind of like, I mean, you could call it that, but fall in line makes it seems to me like, sounds like somebody just telling everybody what to do just because they want to boss people around. But it wasn't that. It was everybody has to know their role, and the main person should have the authority to say that. Jordan said, you lost your mind. Kobe is the GOAT. I ain't say nothing about who was better than who. Where'd you even get that comment from? Money May. Oh, he was just writing it down. Coffee says, what motivates Dre? I wrote a book called The Mirror of Motivation. Did you not see this book? I wrote this book. Get this book. You can read it, and you'll have answers to all your questions. AR6 Assassin, what's good? Eyeball said, I know too many good shooters that shoot too much. Yeah, sometimes you got to know when to pass and when to shoot. Well, you got to know all the time. Do Something Chill says, how do you transition from being a good cook to a head chef? Well, that's out of my area of expertise. But I was using that example just to tell you that somebody can be really good at doing a thing. It doesn't mean that they can orchestrate it and know how to use the right skills at the right time. That was the point that I was making. But if you want to know how to go from being a cook to a chef, you asking the wrong person. There are probably some books out there about it that'll tell you. Eyeball says, when and why did you become vegan? I did a master class on that. If you are in the game group membership at Working Your Game University, you can listen to the master class. I did 2 of them, actually, about that. About being vegan and becoming vegan and why and how and all that. Excuse me. So go to Work on Your Game University, which is the link right there, and you can learn all about it in detail because I laid it all out. Eyeball says, everybody get the Blueprint book, the best guidebook out there. There you go. So anybody who was wondering about getting the Blueprint book, you just heard from Eyeball2424. He told you go get it. That's at balloverseas.com, anybody who forgot. The Tubo, which countries did you play? If you get this book at balloverseas.com, you can read all about it. And you go to dreallday.com/basketball, or just go to drebaldwin.com, actually, where I put my about page. You can read about it. Ball said, appreciate all the guidance you give me every day, making me a better player. That's what's up. That's the game. Coffee said, I meant what motivates. I know. That's why I wrote a book called The Mirror of Motivation. This book will tell you. When you read this book, and you're going to understand what gets you going, you'll understand. I wrote the book, so it had to come from somewhere. I wrote the book, so whatever you get out of it, that's what I got out of it. That's why I was able to write it. And then when you're done with that, you can read this one right here. This will tell you a lot more. And when you get this one, there's a little checkbox. You get the Bulletproof Bundle, which is 4 books on mindset. It's this one and 3 more. All 4 books make up what I call the Bulletproof Bundle. You read all 4 of those, you have a pretty good look into my mentality when it comes to all that stuff. So again, that's at mirrorofmotivation.com. So if anybody else got a question, I'll give y'all like 30 seconds to post it, because I don't see any more right now. For whatever reason, Facebook's broadcast just died. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. But anyway, these 2 books, I'm going to tell y'all one more time. This is the Mirror of Motivation, the self-guide, the self-discipline. You want to learn how to really be the person that you really want to be in your life, that you already know you are, but you just haven't been being that person. You haven't activated that individual so that you can start doing what you really want to do. When you activate that person, you'll start doing what you really want to do with your life, and your actions will have a different energy to them. There'll be a different vibe to your actions, which will lead to completely different results, even if you're doing the same actions. That's the crazy part, and you will see what I mean when you read this book. Then you'll start getting different results in your life, and everything's going to change. You get this by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. The book is paid for. You take care of the shipping. Mirrorofmotivation.com. My Elite Mastermind was good. And this book right here, The Overseas Basketball Blueprint, I made this specifically for people who want to play professional basketball overseas. Go to balloverseas.com. Even if you are unknown, if you played at a little tiny college, if you didn't play college ball at all, but you still want to play pro basketball, or you know somebody who does. I hear from parents and girlfriends all the time who like, well, my boyfriend or my husband or my son want to play overseas. You want to help them out? All right, here's how you help them out. You order this book, and when it comes in the mail, you give it to them and say, hey, happy birthday, son. Happy birthday, honey. I got you a present that's going to help you with the rest of your damn life. This Overseas Basketball Blueprint. So get this book at balloverseas.com. King here said, is that your 15th book? No, I got 25 books. I got 25. The most recent book that I put out was the 30 Days of Discipline book. I appreciate you, my Elite Mastermind. Let's see. He said, I want to sign one. I charge extra for the signed ones. Y'all know about that. Money May says, what's my opinion on the 48 Laws of Power? It's my favorite book of all time. I think that's a good enough opinion. Hopefully that answers your question. Robert Greene is my favorite author, so I mess with all Robert Greene's work. So shout out to Robert Greene. 50 Cent got a new book coming out. Matter of fact, speaking of Robert Greene, one of Robert Greene's books is with 50, called The 50th Law. Now 50's book, he got a new book called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but we'll see, because I like 50, so I'm going to see what... I'm going to read it. I already pre-ordered the book, so I'm going to read it when it comes out. I think it comes out the 28th, which I think is Tuesday. So shout out to 50, Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day that is. I will read 50 Cent's new book coming out this week. Again, it's called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, if y'all didn't know that. I don't know if y'all watch 50's TV shows. I don't watch any of 50's TV shows, but I still like 50. So I'm going to read his book, see what he's talking about. So everybody, listen, I'm doing these live streams every single day at 5:15 p.m. Eastern. Every day is a different topic every day. If you like this one, if you like the one from yesterday, if you like the one from 3 weeks ago, I've been doing them every day, damn near all year. There's a couple days I didn't do it, but I'm doing them every day from now on. I've scheduled it until you hear different. I am doing a live every day at 5:15 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you are following me, first of all. Turn on your notifications so when I go live, you know that I went live and you don't miss anything, because if you miss these, y'all know it ain't really no, I mean, you could kind of rewind, but you only get 24 hours. I do put these lives up on YouTube, but this video right here is not going on YouTube till like a month from today, because I got a bunch of other content that has to come out on YouTube before this. So if you want to catch it, you got to catch it when it comes out. So my Elite Mastermind, I appreciate you. So then you make sure you order your copies. So you like these books so much, make sure you order a copy of this one and this one, mirrormotivation.com, balloverseas.com. I want to see your order come through. If you think my books are that good, then you should order them. All right, that's all I know. And you can get this one too at workonyourgamebook.com. There's only 3 of them. I got 25, but if I put them all on the table, you couldn't see them all anyway. But anyway, everybody, tomorrow 5:15 p.m. Eastern, y'all know what it is. Work on your game. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth after touching somebody else's hand. Wear a mask for protection and maintain 6 feet of physical distance when you're out in public. Work on your game. We out here.